honored and exceedingly humbled to host three of you today on the round table. You're most welcome to round table.
Thank you.
How do you guys feel? Let me start with Maneno. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm so blessed.
You're most welcome to round table.
Thank you.
Now, as a young persons, what is your participation allowed to the community, to the politics, wherever you are? What can be your role?
Good morning to each and everyone watching us right now on SSBC. As they introduced earlier, I'm Anna Maneno. So what is my role in decision making? So the first time resolution on the security resolution, and we're made to push for the waiving of the visa, because by then we had to travel by road to Tanzania. And Tanzania we debated about it as youth in the parliament, and I'm glad after 2 years it was pushed to the East African headquarters, the EAC parliament. Then by 2020, I was an active member of the South Sudan Youth Fight Against COVID-19. Would go to the community, sensitize them. But again, I took that upon myself to preach about peace, reconciliation, and talk about things I think it's vital to me. Started having the community, the gender dialogues, where I bring the different elderly people, the women, and issues that happen. Because I have been doing these different activities, then I won the Future Africa Leaders Award. So that to me is like a high-level global conference on the participation of young people in decision making on the peace processes. So when I talked, I remember I was alongside Antonio Guterres. So because I feel I'm talking to millions of people and I'm here, but then I took to myself, and if you don't speak now, nobody's gonna speak. And then I got out the opportunity. I'm glad there was financing.
How do you feel when you're in such a panel discussion, in such forum? How do you feel as a young person?
How do I feel? I feel blessed, but I feel accountable to the young people, because not every other young person gets that opportunity. And when I get to be elected, I was the Youth Advisory Panel Committee. We went through the interviews. To just tell you, the interview wasn't done only in South Sudan. There were people outside South Sudan who are all interviewing us. And then we got selected. And it's like every other young person is seeing me out there, because if I don't speak for them, I have failed them. And then now I am seated and I'm talking to them. I'm out there in the community doing the different activities, because that's where I hear the voices of the young people.
Thank you, Maneno. Now let's come to Chul Koknyin, the chairperson.
My role as young person is to make sure I actively participate in decision making and make informed decisions. Influence my, this is what I do.
Okay, coming to the affairs of the community, for example, in your own community and the communities of South Sudan, do you feel free, like you can express yourself in the way that can bring a peace to both you and the communities that are on you?
Of course, that is obvious. I feel free because no school, but I still teach because I see that there is a big gap.
What do you teach in the school?
I teach citizenship and history. And normally, what
you're most welcome to Roundtable. Let's talk of your right as a citizen to participate
in influencing, shaping, designing, and contributing to the policy making and other things that can shape society. In the country, there are different categories. There are the elderly people, politicians.
Talk of the benefit of political participations. As the young persons, there's many youth out there politics. In participating in the politics, what could be your benefits?
Thank you so much. The first benefit is that you see your picture in the government. Let's take an example. If you participate in politics and as a young person,
You hear, oh, so-and-so said this. Now, go read what the law says. We are governed by law.
Thank you, Maneno, for Comrade Maluang. Giving your benefits in political participations is what we are now discussing, Governor Me. Now, what could be your benefit if you join politics by chance?
Okay, thank you. You know, there is one point I wanted to put here. Take care of our own land, take care of our women and our children. And if we just come in just by accident, we may mislead our country into the wrong direction. So
let's talk of institutions. I know you guys are the law students. You know more about it.
Okay, then. So I get what he said, like when you get old, you're going to enjoy the tree. But I think there's something he's also trying to communicate. We need to learn from our elders. One of the issues we're having with our generation, someone asked young people when they get into leadership, they can rule the country better. It was a whole long, I cannot say what was my answer, but what I'm trying to say is we need to learn. We need mentorship. We need those young, we got like now we can be educated, we're free, right? Yeah. So we have a lot to learn from them because just because they don't do certain things in the right way, they can give us the wisdom you day to day. And mentors sometimes, what they have failed to do, they're gonna tell you the better way. If it took them 10 years to learn certain
for the comments on your colleagues' words. Now let's begin with you again. Let's talk about the constitutional making and the reforms as a young person. What could be your key role for you as a young person? You may feel like this constitution is not what represents me. And remember that people are going for election too.
Constitution, it means a set of rules, laws that governs the human conduct. Our conduct as a human being. To govern us. And you know, law are not meant like to enslave us, but for our freedom, for our happiness. This is the meaning of law. So, this thing can help our people to know that the meaning of changing the constitution, our current affairs. See, they say if you want to bring change, let the people know the information first. After they get the information, they will know what is the problem next. After they will seek for change. You see, knowing the right, people will now change. Society will change automatically into the good level. So it is our work as young people to this. I talk about awareness, like we can go to the outreach, to the local communities. You know, like now people in Juba, at least they're okay. Because families are different. In the district we came from, this. Like here, there are people are not the one benefiting now. Those who have TVs don't have the light. See, and some people are not educated. They cannot go on Facebook. They cannot go anywhere. That group, we need to read them as young people. Is our work.
Thank you so much. What I want to say in the process of making a new constitution, they used to call it permanent constitution. Constitution cannot be permanent. It's dynamic to this constitution. The aspiration of the people must be reflected, even from the preamble of the constitution. So we have been having transitional constitution, but this time our issues. If you look back to the transitional constitution of the Republic of South Sudan, it came as a result of the interim constitution of Sudan. And then the interim constitution of Sudan, and then we have our transitional. As we move from war to peace, we call it transition. Now, it is a high time for us as young people to participate in we figure out is that the constitution is going to accommodate a lot of things. This is what I see as a student lawyer. And what do we need? We need a constitution that is not rigid to be amended, a constitution that is not disturbed by war. And we don't need to have a grievous mistake of what has happened. See in our revitalized agreement on the resolution of conflict, if the agreement or the constitution of the Republic of South Sudan contradict the provisions in the agreement, then the agreement will be put down, and then the agreement from political parties prevailed over the constitution. You see the anarchy we are seeing? And my role as a young person is to tell people who are not, by doing that, we shall already fix the problem.
Thank you. Let's come to Hannah Maneno. What can be your comment on that?
You know, when we talk about the population of South Sudan, let me talk about the 70%, also 74%. Maybe more than half of them are illiterate. You understand? More than the half are illiterate, running against the government or something. You understand? More than the half are illiterate, running against the government or something. From the government is to allow the civic space. Now that we're the peace agreement, we're supposed to have what the government can do is give that political space, is to give that civic space, let them sensitize the community. If they want, there's so many young people who are willing to go out to the different villages to
Welcome back from that short break. You're still watching Roundtable broadcasting live in our studio headquarters. Here become a topic of discussion in every forums about people are going for general elections toward December, which is 8 months away from now to the row. Okay, now what can be your message on that or your takes on such matter?
When my friends from other countries bring is to talk about the elections, right? I literally run away from it, but I come to realize I cannot run away from it. So according to the provision of the refugees are supposed to return, right? The IDPs are supposed to be settled. And that's something that has not happened. It has not been, most young people, even the ones from the refugee camps. So like, how are we going to first do accountability for the accuracy of the results if we do not vote? And then thirdly, we're going to ask ourselves, how many young people out there or how many citizens have the national IDs? Because, you know, for it is enough, something we have been looking forward to, how they can get the Ministry of Interior to literally go through, I don't know, Interior, yes, to go to the different station I can give is, for you to get a national ID, you're supposed to pay about at 5,000, to 40,000. That's, I don't know how much that is in dollar, but that's SSP. So how many to go? And another one is, by now, we do not know how many people have aspired to be in those, right?
I think the electoral
question we need to ask ourselves. When is it? Because we have been hoping that by last year.
Okay, the question is, are you ready for the elections?
To me, as a
thank you. Now let's come to Chol. Chol, we're talking about the general elections with a lot of not yet been completed according to the political parties who have been saying that the unified force is not yet been deployed and the rest of the thing, including the permanent constitutions, is not yet.
For elections, we are tired of transitional, period, almost 5 years. And so personally, even if there are other things that are not in place, I want to say I must vote in December. But then, some of us are skeptical about the elections. We need to be honest. Of course, of these elections, the forthcoming elections. Before April, I was saying election cannot be possible. But even the refugees outside there can still vote online. This is what we need to say. Secondly, the Constitution should have been the cornerstone of this election. Because if you go for elections and you have problems, I don't know how will you handle the electoral disputes. Now this brings in the issue of the Constitution, and we want to make sure we have the Constitution. It's not too late.
Sure, let me ask you, you say you are ready to cast your vote to any leader that you think can represent you. Now you do that.
I want to say even in 2010 general elections, we voted with our guns. Nothing happened. Dr. Lama Col and the current president, elections of the MPs, we were having guns when we came back from Sudan.
Can I tip to what Charles said?
I think it's different. The case of 2000, by 2010 I was so young. I was 10 years, there was no way against the Arabs, against the particular regime of Bashir. But then right now, the difference between 2010 and now is because we ourselves, the youth, are the ones.
Give you a chance.
Yeah, thank you. If I may come in, it's very different. Yeah. Because what is important is the system. Because to set the system, it doesn't really matter who will lead us. But when there is a system, because they have a strong system. Even in the United States now, you can even
For the system, which is a constitutions.
yes.
Okay.
This is what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
let's come back to,
Yeah.
to him. What
I
is
think when we say we are going for elections and we need the constitution, we can use the provisions of the transitional constitution to go for election, and then as we work on, the constitution. But then what is the law there? We have the constitution, which we already have the transitional constitution, so we can use it during process, electoral process, as we work on. Because I said already 70% of the new constitution is done. It is just, is already stipulated in our constitution. But what do we need is the will to implement what is there. The question we are supposed to ask is that do we can provide a maximum
but
security
where is the
for us?
unified forces I will speak?
The unified forces are within the city.
They are in their
trained.
houses, right?
They are in the houses, but
But
just
what
a
are they
matter.
doing? What are they doing in their house?
What we are going to do is that I think on 22nd June this month or this year, we shall have a declaration of the political parties, declaring that they are ready.
Yes, they might declare the political parties, but what is the guarantee that